everybody, welcome to the MrMaple Show. I'm Matt.
And I'm Tim. And today we're bringing you one of our greenhouses. We've got our Weeble set up. Brian's carrying around the Weeble, so it's getting pretty awesome. We got some new cinematic things we are using here at MrMaple. And we're gonna show you all some cool plants that are here in our house 18.
Yeah, not a lot of you got to come to open house. Well, 750 of you did. But in retrospective of the people who are subscribed to our YouTube channel, some of you may have not ever been here. So we want to give you a little walkthrough. We're actually here in August, so we're probably at the least cinematic time to shoot our greenhouses. But we wanted to get them on camera, show you what our sizes are looking like, and just show you a little bit of what we do here at MrMaple. So a lot of you are probably familiar with this greenhouse. We shot a lot of videos this winter, even out of leaf in here. Things like the blue Japanese maple video are shot, right here where we're walking through. But we're in leaf now. We're actually in summer color. And I think we have some great sizes. So we kind of just want to give you some size examples. Now, if you're watching this video a year later, sizes can be slightly larger or slightly smaller depending on the time of the season. But this is what it looks like right now in August of 2022.
And if you did come to our open house, you're gonna see a lot of things in here you might not have saw, because we actually had sold down enough that we brought in most of what was in house 19 potted in 1 gallons into house 18. So house 19 was closed off for the open house, so there's a lot of new interesting things in this house.
Let us know if you like this kind of content. Maybe we can do more walkthroughs and just kind of some views around MrMaple. So for those of you who haven't got to be here before, we hope this gives you a small, quick tour of one of our greenhouses. And we're just going to pick up some highlights of things that are interesting us right now and just showcase a few plants for you as we slowly make our way through house 18.
So let's start off here with one that we love.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat Mikawa yatsubusa.
Yeah, Mikawa yatsubusa is a slow-growing dwarf that has this tightly layering shingling habit. It's one of our favorite Japanese maples. It's a pretty awesome plant, and we've got some really good sizes.
Tim actually lists these as small, but they're, if you know Mikawa yatsubusa, they're anything but small right now.
Yeah, and that's simply because when we list them in the springtime, you never quite know exactly if it's going to be the smallest or the largest pick, but they're all 2-year 1 gallons. Right now, a lot of our 1 gallons have some really good sizes during the summer.
Yeah.
They really put on that second summer flush and really have some really nice size to them. But this makes a great container plant. Little dwarf is the very first maple of the year, goes to a bright red in the fall. And if you know MrMaple, you know Mikawa yatsubusa because we talk about it frequently.
Yeah. That one's definitely one you'll see on MrMaple pretty frequently. There's some great things in here you might not have seen before. False Fire I'll grab. This is an awesome size 1 gallon for False Fire. These are an amazing fall color Japanese maple. Some great sizes. These are kind of our summer flushes. So, Brian and me were joking the other day on camera that one of the good nursery insider tricks is buying trees this time of the year because our sizes are huge. I mean, many folks will go ahead and step something like this up to a full-on 3 gallon because it'll be there next year. But
I love this plant too. It goes up and sort of arches downward at the top. So it's an upright tree that goes upwards, and the branches sort of just hang out there. Mm-hmm. And then when this thing goes in the fall with those bright oranges to reds, it really puts on a show.
Yeah, awesome plant. We're just gonna grab some random things as we move through here. Grab one of those Geisha Gone Wilds over there. Those are a good size right now.
Yeah.
We love Geisha Gone Wild. You're probably familiar with this one if you're familiar with Japanese maples in general. Again, at that green stage, but with some bright red flashes over top of that. Geisha Gone Wild, the sport on Geisha that I love this plant. It adds a ton of pink interest in the garden. I actually like it in a good bit of sun this time of year. We're actually in heavy shade in our greenhouse, so we get even greener. But in a little bit of sun, you get a little bit of both worlds. You get a little bit more pink and a little bit more green, which I think might be the most color pattern-wise, the most interesting color pattern-wise.
And check out our video on Geisha Gone Wild. We've got a whole video just on Geisha Gone Wild that is pretty awesome in spring color, where it's just electric pink at Hillstone Arboretum. That'll be one you should definitely check out because I love this plant during that time of the season. I really like this plant during the summer though, when you get this cream on green. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is over, it's not really stated because people focus on when it's pink, but when it's this cream on green, it's a dynamic variegation that shows up well to the eye, even during the summer.
Great summer sizes right now on this also. I mean, We're going to be opening up for Labor Day, so a lot of these things will definitely change after Labor Day. We've got a little bit of time until then.
And that is Labor Day 2022. Mm-hmm. Just in case you're watching another year, I want to make sure that you know that it's this year we're open for Labor Day. We hope to maybe kind of make that a staple thing that we do, but it just depends.
Yeah, this year we're going to be open 8 to 12, so that'll be our time frame, but it'll keep it a little bit cooler in the greenhouses so you're not having to be out here during peak heat.
Oh yeah.
Let's move on through here, man. There's a lot going on.
This is a cool one that we don't talk about enough. This is Jeannie's Dream.
Yeah, this one's one coming back soon. This is an introduction by our friend Bill Shell down in Auburn, Alabama. Shout out to Bill. He's taught tons of people to graft, taught tons of people about maples, and just a true pioneer of American maples. I think he was the first member of the Maple Society. He joined the European branch, and I just can't say enough nice things about William B. Shell. He's an awesome dude. Jeannie's Dream is named after his sister. It's a seedling he found that leaves out with incredible pink new growth.
And this one here really holds its color well throughout the summer. There's a gorgeous one planted out that J.C. Ryusen we donated to him. And it really just has a unique leaf structure. It stands out from a lot of the other red uprights and is very unusual and very different. And it's often when we had people here in person, one that people would walk right to and we'd sell it really quickly because it stands out from the crowd.
I think it makes a really nice complement to another staple we do a lot, like Shiranami.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of the stay pink Shiranami. It definitely is one, you know, one of the benefits of donating a tree to the J.C. Ralston. When people see that one, it's definitely one we get some requests for in that early spring time frame, because people see that tree there and they're like, hey, I got to get one of these Jeannie's Dream. This thing looks crazy.
And this is a selection from the Auburn, Alabama area. So it's a very, very heat tolerant selection that does well in the deep south. Does well everywhere, zones 5 through 9, but in the deep south, it performs very well in high heat.
For sure. Gosh, there's so many cool things in here. We do a lot of other products besides maples. There's a ton of things mixed in here. Let's grab one of these for size right here. Here we have Fireglows. Now, if you're familiar with MrMaple, you know we keep Fireglow on the website. Introduction from Italy, one of the most popular red upright Japanese maples for sure.
Yeah, we love this plant. I love the fact that when you put it in morning sun or afternoon sun, it has that glowing effect, which really makes this plant stand out, but really has some nice vibrant fall colors as well of those bright, bright fire engine reds.
Awesome plant. You definitely want to check this one out on MrMaple. Another one I want to talk about right here behind it, and then we'll grab some of these giants behind us here. Nanyat. So we've got some really good sizes of Nanyat right now.
Acer palmatum Nanyat is an awesome, awesome plant that has that almost Shishigashira style leaf, but a little more flattened, but really gives you some nice green bark as well.
Yeah, it is a soft yellow to pale green in the winter. It can get more of like a pale yellow to it as well. Very interesting plant. It was an introduction by Bob Baltzer, who's a good friend of ours. And often when we're talking to nurserymen, we'll say, hey, you know, what's your favorite introduction? Well, Bob introduced Alpenweiss and a few other cool trees you probably know. And we say, well, what's the thing you wish you'd introduced? And he said, hold on, I got one for you. So we brought out Nanyat. Awesome tree for the color. Think of it as like Aoyagi times Shishigashira. That's probably the best way to describe it. It's got that Shishigashira-like foliage. Awesome neon yellow fall color. There's a picture on our website of the big one in my yard. And I love this plant. It definitely gets some really nice hints of like pale yellow to light green in the winter too.
And we did a full video in front of that in fall color. So go check out our video on Nanyat on the MrMaple show. Amazing, amazing plant that really gives something unique texture, but also some good winter interest. And some really good sizes on these.
I'm seeing another plant I love behind me. Let's grab one of these big monsters right here.
Stewartia pseudocamellia pewter. And hold that in front of you, Matt, so people can actually see how blue-green that is.
I make a good backdrop for the color. This one's one that's hard to capture on camera. I actually have another specimen of this in my garden we just planted recently. Maybe we'll get to out there and do a full video as we get that garden set up. But this is a blue-green Stewartia pseudocamellia. So you're getting everything you love about Stewartia pseudocamellia, but with like a pewter hue on top of the foliage. So it's going to have awesome white blooms to this one. It's a good bloomer too. It actually blooms really regularly for us, but really fun foliage.
Now the reason I love Stewartia pseudocamellia, Matt and I were out at the Morris Arboretum in Philadelphia, and we were running around, and we'd see a Japanese maple in fall color off in the distance, and we'd walk up and take photographs of it. We were trying, first time we'd ever been to the Morris Arboretum years and years and years ago, and we started going around trying to figure out, hey, there's a maple. We'd run over to it, take some photos. Well, every time we saw Stewartia pseudocamellia, we thought it was a maple from a distance because it had such good orange-red fall color that it just drew us to it. And then we'd get up and it has bark almost like a crepe myrtle.
Right.
And so you've got bark like a crepe myrtle as it matures. You've got amazing fall color. And did I mention that pseudocamellia means that it blooms like a camellia?
Yeah.
So it has this really beautiful white bloom. So you've got a white bloom. You've got...
It's got everything.
Yeah, and then this is a selection that has the silver blue leaf. So you've got foliage interest, you've got blooming, you've got bark winter interest, and you've got great fall color. I mean, it's a knockout plant.
It's the everything plant.
Yeah.
And then when you get something like pewter, we love doing selections of pseudocamellia. Pewter, probably my favorite Stewartia. It is, it's unprecedented in its color. I mean, it gets some nice shades of just emeraldy, almost blue-green, and especially the sheen on top of it. As you get this one outside, you can get a really nice glossy sheen on the leaf, and it makes it almost just look silvery there in the garden. So it's really nice.
Now, some notes on growing these things: they don't like to be transplanted. So when you're putting them in the ground, don't put them in the ground for a few years and then try to move them. And if you do, you got to do it when it's out of leaf. But also, the other thing is they've got to have good drainage. They want good drainage, and if you can give them some organic matter when they're planting, that definitely helps as well.
Now, we grow them in 1 gallon pots with a good root ball, and you certainly can take that straight to the ground when you get it, but we don't recommend bare rooting them, especially in leaf. So you don't want to bare root this plant. You'll have better success, keeping the root ball intact, but an easy plant to grow. It's going to grow very similar than Japanese maple for a lot of our folks and give you some just every season interest and a lot of cool things. Maybe we need to do a full highlight on pewter at some point. I'm kind of thinking maybe this one needs a full video at some point.
Plant we love a lot, and it's very unique and very different. I think this looks like a Wesley's pile here.
Right.
Ribboned off. It looks like all the trees Wesley's been getting.
Employee hold area.
Employee holder. We have to get that out of here before
Brian
the
and
open
Wesley
house.
are good for those. We've got a few greenhouses that just hold the plants that Brian and Wesley want.
You want to show Pung Kill's always a fun one. And I like Pung Kill because it's a dark black linerlobum style. This is a plant that just stands out. It's really cool, really unique, and really different because it has that darker black foliage on a linerlobum style.
Great sizes right now. Again, we're in August of 2022, so some awesome size Pung Kill. Really nice plant. You've probably heard us joke about this. We thought it meant a soft, gentle wind, which it actually does, but it's actually the curator at Chilipo Arboretum there
in Korea
who it's actually named after. So his name does mean a soft, gentle wind, but it's certainly named for him instead of having that graceful habit and a soft, gentle wind, which fits a linerlobum perfectly, right? I mean,
yeah.
You kind of think of those as a soft, gentle wind already. So.
Now, on these linerlobum styles, if you see this thicker new growth during the summer, not a problem. It's typically when you start seeing that in the spring, you want to tag that and see if that has an issue of if it continues to always have that growth.
Right.
That's an issue.
Now we could do a full video on summer new growth because summer new growth is going to be a little irregular. The juvenile new growth, late summer flushes, they're often a little affected by that heat, and so you'll get slightly irregular new growth. Typically, like in August. We're in August right now, so.
And we have a lot of people who come in and keep trimming this out. But every summer it's going to do this, and then as this new growth matures, it's going to mature out to this thinner linerlobum style.
Yeah.
Which we're getting a lot of questions about that right now, so I thought I'd bring that.
Not something to prune. Like Tim said, look for it in early spring, not this time of year.
Yep.
Now, some awesome sizes right now in a few of these bad boys. Let's grab this one. This is a gold digger. Some awesome sizes in a few of these. Now, there's a couple different sizes, so they're not all quite this big. But there's certainly some gold diggers that are ready to go right into 3 gallons at this stage. So some pretty massive ones.
And you can see some of this light colored bark right now. During the summer, it's going to be the least showy time for gold digger. During the winter and all the coral barks, that's when that bark really comes to fruition. That's when you really start seeing the most dynamic color contrast is during those winter months.
Awesome plant. This one, love that spring pink on it, but awesome sizes right now too. So I'm sure a lot of these will be around, but then sometimes at our open house, I mean, these are 1 gallon herb sphere behind Tim. Those things are going to be gone quick. I don't even know if they'll make the website.
So these are some of our 1 gallon Ryusens right now. Give you some size examples for this.
And these are unstaked. We intentionally unstaked these.
They're huge. You can put these in a container and let them weep down. You can stake them up too and let them cascade off of that. That's a very common way to do it. And it's a really fun way to be able to train and shape a plant to your own desires. Now remember, whenever you stake a plant, you don't have to stake it straight. You can stake it with curves and fun and really gives it something unique and interesting. So remember, you can always stake it and play with it and have fun with it. And Ryusen is definitely one to do that with. This selection is extremely weeping, is extremely heat tolerant, and is an easy plant to grow.
Hey, check out our how to stake a Japanese maple video. We've got a great video on that. And we'll probably be doing some more of those next spring too, to just kind of give different examples. Ryusen, awesome staked or unstaked though. You can leave it unstaked and let it grow as a ground cover But if you want to stake these 1 gallons up, I mean, they're huge already too.
And we've got a couple videos, I think, out there on Ryusen, so you can go check out a couple different videos during different times of the year, different locations, and check out what this plant looks like out there in the landscape and garden. Really cool plant.
Let's move on through here a little bit. I've got some favorites coming up, I know. There's a ton of things mixed in here. And again, this is just one house. Generally, our greenhouses that are 96 foot have 4,000 to 5,000 1 gallons in them. This is greenhouse 18, so you can kind of imagine, guys, how many trees we're growing here. This one is a 148 foot greenhouse, so it'll definitely carry a little bit more than that 4,000 to 5,000 range. And we're in the process of kind of reorganizing and moving things around. But just some really good stuff.
These are some dark ghosts.
Oh, dark ghost, awesome plant. I found dark ghost to handle the sun a little bit better. I think dark ghost, but even because it's so dark, it does hold its color really well. I've actually had several customers bring that up to me as well, that they were growing dark ghost in a good bit of sun in zone 7 and one customer in zone 8, and they were having great success with it holding that darker color.
And most of the plants in here, as you can see, they've actually got roots growing out the bottom of the pot. You may see sometimes where it says trees may not have filled out their pots, and that's because when you have a set of 300, you can't guarantee that every single...
You're not going to bare root them all.
Yeah, you're not going to bare root them all to check. When we pick them up like this to make sure that that it feels like they're that way.
Pull it out.
But you can see...
Our roots are typically very well developed. I mean, it's something we focus on here at MrMaple. Root growth is of the utmost importance to us, but even with that being of the utmost importance, we don't want that tree to be root bound. So they're a very well developed root ball, but ready to go out right away without even having to be broke up. Definitely don't break up your root balls in leaf, though. That's one suggestion I'll give you. Some folks will tell you to do it. I recommend not breaking up the root ball, especially during the hot summer months.
Yeah, we don't mess with the root ball in Japanese maples during the spring or summer. The main reason being is because you can mess up those microfibrous roots. And if you mess up those microfibrous roots, that's how that plant takes up water. And you can really cause a lot of stress to the plant, mess up a lot of the new growth, and even kill the plant sometimes if it's the wrong time of the season. So we always shy away from that and recommend doing it. If you're messing with the roots, do that during the winter months. And
I see another one I want to talk about right up here in front, and it's a great example of summer regularity on foliage. So these are Peve starfish. Now, you know Peve starfish, it's the starfish shape. It's going to have that irregular-like growth. Oftentimes people will say, hey, what's going on? It's August, my Peve starfish has reverted. Well, it hasn't. So let me show you what's going on here even at the nursery. The new growth flushes here can have that very large foliage, but don't fret, it's just summer irregularity. That's something that happens typically on Japanese maples. As this leaves out next spring, that same area is going to have the curling effect. So there's no reason to prune that out with this one. It's not something you're going to lose with this one, especially on the new growth this time of year.
it's very typical when you have a vigorous young plant pushing new growth.
Yeah.
Now, it may not happen every year where you have that new growth during the summer, but when you have a young plant that's really at some of its most vigorous stages,
right,
that's when you're going to see a lot more of this new growth that isn't cupping as much as the the older growth.
Certainly not all of them are this big. There's some varying sizes, but I mean, there's some great size 1 gallons right now. I mean,
this is one of the smaller ones.
Yeah, that's one of the smaller ones. There's some good sizes though. Typically, our 1 gallon uprights are around 18 inches, and you know, many of these are exceeding 2.5, 3 feet right now.
So this is a plant I like quite a bit. This is CG Murasaki. This is a variegated calicarpa that has both variegated foliage, pink blooms, that then turn into that berries that everyone loves about the calicarpa. It's a Japanese selection of calicarpa that is really unusual and really different.
Very unique one. You may see this one coming to Fun Flower Friday soon. It's always popular when we have it online. Let's grab one of these emerald lace, bro. So we talked about these in a recent video. These are the high graph 1 gallons, so some excellent sizes. You know, if I had space, I'd probably take most of these to 3s, to be completely honest with you. These are giants right now. They'd probably be finished 3s by this time next year. Gosh, you know, these are some good deals right now going on the high graft emerald lace for sure.
Yeah, emerald lace is probably the most heat tolerant weeping lace leaf that's out there. I don't know of another weeping type that's as heat tolerant as emerald lace is. It has a nice spreading out habit, some good red fall color, which is unusual because a lot of the green lace leaves go to yellows to oranges. And it was a selection introduced by our friend Del Laux, found in Charlotte, North Carolina. Then the guy took cuttings and sent it to one of our friends, Del Laux, who was a legend in plants. And then Del introduced this. It got in the nursery trade, and you even saw it in places in Europe.
Yeah, awesome plant. I mean, it's one that's all over the world now, and it's fun to know where it all started. But some great sizes there in emerald lace right now.
And the reason I like this one too is the leaf is so divided. It's more divided than almost any other green lace leaf.
For sure. Let's grab some of those Shaina up there. Let's talk about those. I think those are an excellent size right now to be focusing on.
Yeah. So
awesome sizes in our Acer palmatum Shaina right now. This is an awesome broom, so it's going to give you that dark red foliage. Definitely watch our video on Red Maple Nurseries. I believe it's part 1 we talk about Shaina in, but it's in either, probably in both videos because we talked to Billy Schwartz about it as well. But an awesome compact dwarf red.
we love this plant. If you give it some sunlight, it'll hold its color a little bit better than it does in the shade. But even here in the shade, this whole set down through here is just putting on amazing bright red new growth. I mean, the bright red new growth during the summer flush is fantastic. This makes a tight, compact dwarf, excellent for containers. The name Shaina means, it's Hebrew for beautiful, and is actually named after Billy Schwartz's daughter.
Yeah.
And amazing plant, really unusual, really different, and something that's probably one of the best red witch's brooms in the nursery trade.
Great candidate for container gardening. You can get this one in a big pot. It's going to look awesome as a planter. Great accent in a conifer garden, but a really fun plant to be growing. So we hope you like this view at House 18. We've kind of walked through a little bit and just gave you some highlights. There's even more we can do, but it's getting hotter and we got to get to some nursery work because Tim's going to put me back to work. But we wanted to get this on camera and talk to you about a little bit about what's going on here at MrMaple. These sizes are indicative of what we have right now in August of 2022. And we hope you like this kind of content. Let us know if you want more nursery tour content. I mean, this is house 18. I believe we're up to about 30 now, so we can do tours of a lot of houses. I think the last 4 are going up right now, so we've got about close to 30 up actually already. But
yeah, it's cool plants. I hope you enjoyed this look through. While we've talked about a few plants in here, there's probably 400 or 500 different varieties in this house. So there's a lot of interesting things. There's some things that are in small sets. We sort of focused on the big sets as we were walking around.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll do a video later on just some of the small, unique, interesting things around the nursery.
Take care.
God bless.
And have a great day.